When I visit a website, I am going to have three main questions. And how well your website is set up to answer these questions is going to go a long way towards allowing me as a user to get to the point of conversion. That first question is obviously, what do you do? Now, long gone are the days of company names that are easy to figure out what they do: Smith's, Cantaloupe, Willis Automotive. So we need to quickly and concisely answer this question. How does it help me? I want to know what your product is going to do to make my life easier. How do you relate to me? And let me know that I should be interested in what you have to offer. Lastly, can I trust these people? Obviously, this is an important thing, and it's done through more ways than you might think. So let's jump in and take a look at each of these individually. First, what do you do? Now, this needs to be answered very quickly. It needs to be done clear and concisely and not leave a lot of confusion in the user's mind. If I'm having to scroll 3/4 of the way down your home page to even begin to have an understanding of what it is that you do, then we are failing at this mission of answering the question. So we want to be starting off very quickly in the hero section of our website with addressing this question. Here is an example from a site: build your unified logging later. I specifically like the next section. FluentD is an open source data collector for unified logging layer. So they're getting right to it. They're being specific with their information, and they're not allowing it to be open for interpretation. They want to provide some specifics. I specifically like the CTA in that one section. What is FluentD? You have a very good expectation of what is going to be there when you make that click. Sometimes we get so used to using very generic CTA labels, learn more, read this, that a user can sometimes be a little bit confused as to what they're going to see when they click that. Where is that going to take me? What is it going to drive me towards? But this is going to be very clear, and it's going to allow the user to make a very educated decision when they click it. But we want to be jumping into answering this question immediately and doing it at a level that is going to connect with the expected type of user we're going to get on our site. The next question, how does it help me? Nobody is visiting your site to benefit you. They're visiting the site because they want to see how your product might make their life a little bit easier. So it's going to be really important to know the demographic that you're targeting and what their pain points are. So it's going to be good if you can relate to them and be able to express that quickly on your website. After you explain what it is you do, you need to quickly jump in to answering this question. How does it help me? How does it make my life easier? But when we address this issue, it's probably better in most cases to not just go out and say, hey, look what I can do, you can use this, but how do I make your life easier? Connect with their pain points. In the example I have here, it does that to an extent. Remove friction from your application lifestyle. So it's addressing an issue, and it gets into a couple different areas. Now, a recommendation I would have with this, especially if this were to appear on a homepage, is that it's a little bit wordy. We need to be mindful of how much energy our site visitors are willing to put into interpreting our site. And especially at the beginnings of that phase when I'm on a homepage, I need to keep my text very simple. So with this kind of example, I would actually either lose the subtitle or that sentence below it. One or the other has to go. We need to cut down on the amount of text we're showing there. If we're going to keep the sentence, it'd be nice to make it a little bit shorter. But this at least does make that effort to connect. It's just a little bit wordy. One piece of advice I typically offer, and one of the things that I always keep in mind when I'm looking at home pages, is if there is paragraph text, then we're being too wordy. I should probably never include anything that is more than a sentence, two sentences at the maximum, because as people are visiting our homepage, they're going to make very quick decisions. They are not going to invest a lot of energy in interpreting what you had to say at this point. So I need to quickly be answering these three main questions in a way that's not going to require a lot of effort from them. And then hopefully through that, get them to make a next step. That last question, can I trust these people, is obviously hugely important. We do this by establishing authority. We want them to know that not only do we know what we're talking about, but look, these other people have found solutions and have solved their problems through using our products. So we want to be able to get that message out there and allow them to realize that, yeah, we're the good guys. You can trust us. So there's a couple different ways that are typically thought about when doing this, things like case studies, testimonials, or customer logos. I'd recommend that this information be straightforward and quite truthful. I once worked on a website where you visited their homepage. There was a series of logos which you immediately interpret as, oh, this is some of their customers. Look at these big companies. There's Google, there's Microsoft. Though as I dug into it a little bit more, I found that it turned out that it was just the previous places of employment of the founders of the company. Sure, that's impressive, and that might be worthy to share at a different place, perhaps a leadership page, but there was an obvious attempt to mislead by demonstrating those logos. So we want to be straightforward. And on the homepage, we want to keep those logos to be something that are going to be most recognizable. But we can also establish authority by including information that shows how good we are in our industry. So some well-placed blog posts or featured resource items, things that are going to connect well with the user at that stage of their journey. If we're talking about the homepage, then we want to assume that they are going to have a limited knowledge of what we have to offer, and we're going to want to provide featured resources or blog posts at that point that are going to connect well with what they know at that point, perhaps piquing their interest. Additionally, the visibility of post-sale support material can increase a level of confidence they have that it's going to be more about just the pre-sales journey, that you're there after the fact, that they're going to find valuable resources and aids to help them utilize your product to the fullest extent.